You're tired. And not just regular tired, you're tired deep in your soul. The constant pressure to do more, be more, and achieve more has left you feeling completely empty. It's a kind of weariness that sleep just can't seem to fix. A spiritual exhaustion that makes you feel disconnected even when you're going through all the right motions. You're reading the words, saying the prayers, but there's just a silence, a hollowness where that connection used to be. You've been running on the fumes of hustle culture, the one that tells you your value is in your output and your worth is in your work. So now you're standing here, with hands full of accomplishments but a soul running on empty, wondering, is this really all there is? But what if this exhaustion you're feeling isn't a sign that you've failed? What if it's not a mark of weakness or a lack of faith? What if it's a message, an urgent invitation from God to finally come and rest? This isn't a dead end. It's a divine appointment. The burnout you feel is the very place God is waiting to meet you. Not with judgment, but with a grace so deep it can rebuild you from the inside out. So stay here, in this quiet place, and just listen. Because this is God's urgent message for you. I see you. I see that bone-deep weariness you've been carrying around like a heavy coat you can't take off. It's a heaviness that has settled not just in your body and your mind, but deep in your spirit. I see you forcing a smile and pushing through another day, telling yourself it's just a season and you just need to try a little harder. But inside there's a quiet, desperate whisper that has started to get louder. I don't know how much longer I can do this. You're living in a world that's obsessed with the grind, a culture that has convinced you that rest is lazy and being still is a waste of time. Maybe you've even fallen for a kind of performance-based faith, where you feel like you have to earn my love, where your identity has gotten all tangled up in what you do instead of who you are in me. It's like you've been given a scoreboard for your soul, and you've been running yourself ragged trying to prove you're good enough. You've worn your exhaustion like a badge of honor because you were told that being tired means you're important, and being busy means you're valuable. But I see what this hustle has cost you. I see the anxiety that's always buzzing just beneath the surface, and the low-grade irritability that makes you short-tempered with the people you love most. I see the emotional energy you've spent, pouring yourself out for your work, your family, your ministry, and writing emotional checks from an account that's been overdrawn for a long time. You feel this deep emptiness, a spiritual dryness where your prayers feel like they're just hitting the ceiling, and reading your Bible feels like another task on a never-ending to-do list. You look at your life, at everything you've built, and all the responsibilities you carry, and you feel trapped. The very things that used to bring you joy now just feel like a cage. You feel so alone in this struggle, believing the lie that everyone else has it figured out and you're the only one who can't keep up. That feeling of being overwhelmed isn't in your head, it's the cry of a soul that has been carrying burdens it was never created to bear alone. You've been eating the bread of anxious toil, as the scripture says, getting up early and staying up late, driven by a fear of falling behind, a fear of being found out, a fear of not being enough. You've been working in vain, trying to build a house that only I can build, trying to protect a city that only I can protect. The result isn't just fatigue, it's a real disconnection from your own heart and from me. You show up and you function, but you're haunted by the feeling that you're just an actor in your own life, watching a version of yourself go through the motions. This burnout can feel like a failure. It can feel like you've let me down, or that your faith is weak. You might even feel ashamed or guilty for feeling this way, as if a good Christian would have more strength and more endurance. But I don't see failure. I see someone who's been trying to survive in a system that goes against the very rhythms of grace I designed for your soul. You're not weak for feeling this way. You're human, and you've been carrying a weight that's way too heavy for you. I see you striving. I see your desperate attempts to hold it all together. And my heart aches with compassion, not because you failed, but because you've been struggling for so long under a yoke that was never mine to give you. The world gave you a yoke of performance and hustle, and it's heavy. It's crushing you. But I'm here now, right in the middle of your exhaustion. I haven't turned away. I'm not disappointed. In fact, I'm drawing closer than ever. This place of burnout, this feeling of being completely spent, isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new one. It's the holy ground where I'm going to teach you what grace really means. This isn't a punishment, it's an invitation. Listen closely. Can you feel that? A subtle shift in the atmosphere of your soul? This isn't a dead end. This exhaustion isn't a sign that you're ruined. It's a divine invitation. It's my hand reaching for you in the darkness of your fatigue, not to pull you back into the race, but to pull you into a place of deep soul-healing rest. What if this burnout isn't a sign of your weakness, but the first sign of your true strength finally showing up? The strength to say, "I can't." Those two words aren't a cry of defeat. They are a prayer of surrender, and they are music to my ears. Because when you finally admit that you can't, you make room for me, the great I am, to step in. My power isn't a reward for your strength. It's made perfect in your weakness. Your exhaustion doesn't disqualify you from my power. It actually positions you for it. For so long, you've been trying to earn what I've already given you for free. You've treated my love like a paycheck you have to work for, not a gift you just receive. You've been operating as if your standing with me is based on your performance, on how well you can keep all the plates spinning. That's the big lie of the enemy and the hustle culture you live in. It's a system designed to keep you so busy and so focused on your own efforts that you forget the foundational truth of the gospel. It is finished. This burnout is my loving, urgent interruption. I'm stopping you in your tracks and allowing this exhaustion to wash over you so that you might finally stop striving and start receiving. What if your soul is so tired because it's been carrying burdens it was never meant to hold? What if the emptiness you feel is the very space I've been clearing out to make room for a joy that doesn't depend on your circumstances and a peace that has nothing to do with your productivity? I'm inviting you to be still and know that I am God. Being still isn't about being lazy. It's an act of radical faith in a world that never stops moving. It's declaring that your worth isn't tied to your to-do list. It's trusting that while you rest, I am still at work. Rest isn't a sign of weakness. It's an act of obedience. So, will you accept this invitation? Will you dare to lay down the heavy yoke of performance and pick up mine instead? My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. It's not a yoke of more tasks and heavier duties. It's the yoke of relationship, of walking with me, learning from me, and letting me carry the real weight. You will find rest for your soul, a rest that the world can't give and can't ever take away. This is my promise to you, the one who is weary and burdened. Come to me. To help you see what I mean, let me tell you a story about one of my dearest friends, a man of fire and faith named Elijah. If anyone understood spiritual victory, it was him. On Mount Carmel, he stood alone against 850 false prophets. He prayed a simple prayer, and I answered with fire from heaven. It was a spectacular, undeniable display of my power. The whole nation fell on their faces, declaring that I alone am God. By any worldly measure, this was the peak of his ministry. He had won. He should have been on top of the world, filled with unshakable confidence. But what happened next is so important for you to hear. Right after this huge victory came a threat. One woman, Queen Jezebel, was furious and sent him a message. By this time tomorrow, you're going to be dead. And the man who had just faced down 850 prophets, the man who called down fire from the sky, did something that seemed shocking. He was afraid and he ran for his life. He fled into the wilderness, went a day's journey all by himself, and just collapsed. He sat down under a broom tree, a tiny little shrub in the middle of nowhere, and he prayed a prayer of complete despair. "I have had enough, Lord," he said. "Take my life. I'm no better than my ancestors." Do you see? Burnout is not a new thing. This is a prophet of God, at the height of his power, asking to die. He was feeling more than just physical tiredness. He was suffering from deep emotional and spiritual exhaustion. He felt alone, convinced he was the only one left. He felt like all his work, even his great victory, had been for nothing. He had poured out everything, and now there was nothing left. He hit a wall so hard he decided life wasn't worth living. Now, listen carefully to how I responded. I didn't scold him for being afraid. I didn't give him a lecture on his theology. I didn't tell him to just have more faith or remind him of his big win on Carmel. My response to his burnout wasn't judgment, it was compassion. While he was sleeping under that tree, I sent an angel. The angel touched him gently and said, "Get up and eat." Elijah looked, and right there by his head was some bread baked on hot coals and a jar of water. He ate and drank, and then lay down again. The angel came back a second time, touched him, and said, "Get up and eat, because this journey is too much for you." Notice the tender, practical care, rest and food. I met his most basic human needs first. I understood that his spiritual despair was tangled up with his physical exhaustion. I didn't give him a new to-do list or a 5-step plan for recovery. I gave him bread. I gave him water. I gave him permission to rest. This is how I meet you too in your exhaustion. Not with more demands, but with gentle provision. Strengthened by that food, Elijah traveled for 40 days and nights to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. He went into a cave, and then my word came to him with a gentle question. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He poured out his heart, all his pain, his sense of failure, and his loneliness. "I have been so zealous for you, Lord," he said. "The Israelites have rejected you, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets. I'm the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too." I just let him speak his truth. I didn't argue with him, even though he wasn't seeing the full picture. I met him right there in his feeling of being all alone, and then I revealed myself to him, but not in the way he might have expected. I told him, "Go out and stand on the mountain, because I'm about to pass by." Then a huge, powerful wind tore through the mountains and shattered the rocks. But I wasn't in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but I wasn't in the earthquake. After the earthquake, there was a fire, but I wasn't in the fire. Elijah knew me as the God who answers by fire, but now, in his moment of burnout, I was teaching him something new about who I am. After the fire, there came a gentle whisper, a still, small voice. When Elijah heard it, he covered his face and stood at the mouth of the cave. In that gentle whisper, I met him. I reassured him. I gave him a new purpose, not from a place of pressure, but from a place of connection. I showed him that he wasn't alone, that I had thousands of people who were still faithful. I gave him a companion, Elisha, to walk with him. Elijah's burnout wasn't a failure. It was the doorway into a deeper, more intimate knowledge of who I am. He learned that I'm not just the God of the fire and the earthquake, but also the God of the gentle whisper. He learned that his value wasn't in his victories, but in his relationship with me. Burnout didn't disqualify him. It revealed his humanity, and right there he experienced my divinity in a fresh way. Your story is the same. So how do you get from the burnout of the broom tree to the gentle whisper in the cave? How do you actually start practicing this art of receiving grace? It's not about adding more things to your spiritual checklist. In fact, it's the opposite. It's an undoing, a letting go. It's about moving yourself out of the center and putting Christ back at the core. First, just start with this truth and repeat it to yourself until it sinks in. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Your weakness isn't a problem, it's the very place my strength loves to show up. Your emptiness isn't something to be ashamed of, it's the vessel I want to fill. You don't obey me to earn my love, you obey because you already have it, completely and without condition. This leads to the practice of surrender. Spiritually speaking, look at your hands. They're probably clenched tight around your responsibilities, your worries, your reputation, your plans. You can't receive a gift with a clenched fist. Surrender is just the act of opening your hands. It's intentionally giving your anxieties to me, because I care for you. Picture yourself placing each burden, one by one, into my hands. That deadline, that family conflict, that fear about the future. Let them go. I will hold you up. From this place of surrender, you can finally learn to rest. And rest isn't just being lazy. Rest is an act of trust. It's a statement of faith that the world won't fall apart if you stop holding it together for a minute. It's trusting that I can provide for you even while you sleep. Remember the Sabbath. I rested on the seventh day, not because I was tired, but to set up a holy rhythm for life. It's a gift, not a burden. I invite you to enter that rest. Your body isn't a machine, it's the temple of my spirit. Honoring its limits is a way of honoring me. This is what it means when I promise to make you lie down in green pastures and lead you beside quiet waters. It's not something you have to strive for, it's something your shepherd leads you into. Let yourself be led. Say no to some good things, so you can say yes to the best things I have for you, like peace, stillness, and my presence. And in this place of rest and surrender, you'll discover a new kind of strength. Not the gritty, white-knuckled strength of your own effort, but a strength that comes from hope. Those who hope in me will renew their strength. They'll soar on wings like eagles. They'll run and not grow weary. This isn't a promise of a life without effort, but a life fueled by a different source. My energy, not yours. The joy of the Lord will become your strength. Finally, just practice being with me. I've promised, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Throughout your day, create little moments to remember this. When you wash your hands, remember my grace. When you drink water, remember that I'm the source of living water. When you pause and take a deep breath, breathe in my peace and breathe out your anxiety. You don't have to try harder to find me. I'm already here. This isn't a performance review, it's a relationship. Spend time with me, not just working for me. My beloved child, hear this. Your burnout is not the end. It's not a sign you've failed. It's the sacred space where I've come to meet you. It is the end of your striving and the beginning of your true life in me. The world will keep screaming for you to hustle and perform, but I'm whispering a different way. A way of grace, a way of rest, a way of trust. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to perform anymore. You can just be loved. Rest in that love today and tomorrow. Let go of the illusion that you're in control and fall back into the strong and loving arms of the one who created you, who sustains you, and who will never, ever let you go. Your worth is not in your hustle. Your strength is not in your striving. Your identity is your inheritance as my beloved child. If this message hit home in your weary soul, don't just rush off to the next thing. Take a moment right now. Be still. Let these words wash over you. This is your invitation. And if you want to keep going on this journey of finding rest, consider subscribing for more messages like this. Feel free to share this video with someone else you know who is tired, burnt out, and needs to hear this message of grace. You're not alone in this, and your honesty can be a light for someone else. Now, just receive this blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face shine on you and be gracious to you. May He turn His face toward you and give you peace, the deep soul-quenching peace that goes beyond all understanding. May He lead you beside the still waters and restore your soul. May you learn to rest in the security of His unending love. You are not failing. You are just tired. And I, your Father, am here to give you rest. Amen.